I was watching a YouTube video the other day and somebody was saying it was really hard to come up with like the worst of beauty because there's so much good product out there. And I have to agree, like to an extent, because it was really hard for me to come up with this list, but at the same time, it wasn't, if that makes sense. I have a lot of things on the worst of beauty list that literally just like have been ingrained in the back of my head since I tried them. And now I'm ready to share the worst of 2023 with you. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to today's video. I'm still trying to get my voice back from being in Las Vegas. If you guys haven't seen my Get Ready With Me chatting about creators and friends, please go check that one out after you watch this video. I'll link it for you in the eye. We are talking about the worst of beauty. And I was watching some worst of beauty videos already, and I saw some people, they were like, there's so much good on the market that it was really hard for them to come up with their list. But I really honestly feel like there was a lot of stuff that really was ingrained in the back of my head. The instant of trying it, I knew that this was going on that list, and it was ingrained in the back of my head. So I have like a page full of notes here of all of the worst product that I tried in 2023. A lot of these things were actually new releases. They were. Some of them were older. A lot of them were new releases in 2023. But we're going to talk about every single product that I found in 2023 that is the worst product of 2023. We're going to start off with an eyeshadow palette. I can't believe I am saying this. I really cannot believe that I am saying this because this is one of my favorite eyeshadow brands and I love the formula of this company, of this brand, but I just didn't like this eyeshadow palette. We're talking about the Anastasia Beverly Hills Fall Romance palette. How do I have an Anastasia Beverly Hills palette in my worst makeup video? Like, what is going on here? Like, what is going on? If you guys are new here, I love on Anastasia Beverly Hills all the time. Every single time that I should say almost every single time that she releases a new palette, I am like there for it. I buy it. I'm not on the ABHPR list, but I am just a fan of the eyeshadow formula of Anastasia Beverly Hills. I love that it's blendable, pigmented. The foils are just absolutely stunning. And I love the Anastasia quality. And she released the Fall Romance palette at the end of this year. I want to say like September time. I do have a video of like doing a whole review on this. And she has like the beautiful velvety packaging. Like it's such a beautiful presentation of this eyeshadow palette. And it's called the Fall Romance palette. So like when I think of fall and romance, I do think of like sultry tones. And I do think of like darker tones. I opened up this palette and I was kind of like, I don't even know the right words to say. Like, I thought it was a beautiful color story. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it is a beautiful color story, but there are so many things about this eyeshadow palette that I do not enjoy. And let's just kind of take them off in a row. This is going to be the most negative video, and I'm going to have to film a really positive video after this. It's just going to be really negative. I would say the consistency of the formula is a little bit weird and wonky in some of these shades. The foils are absolutely stunning. Like Anastasia does a great job with her foil shades. The only one that I really had a huge problem with is this shade right here. It's called Divine. It's like a purpley, almost a duochrome, where it gives like purple. I don't even know how to explain it. It's kind of duochromy. It does kind of shift. It's almost like a satin formula, but almost like a metallic. It's just one of those weird hybrid eyeshadows. It's hard to describe, but this shade Divine is very scratchy on the eye, and even when you swatch it in person, like it's almost like a matte sheen. And I think that's what makes it so hard to work with, is that it's a matte with a little bit of a sheen to it. These kind of like matte eyeshadows, like they just don't tend to work very well on a lot of people because they are hard to blend out, and the texture of like, you know, if it's sequined or if it's even like a sheen like this, that makes it even harder for like the pigment to just go evenly across your face, which is honestly an issue I had with this shade. Another shade that I had a really hard time with was Mulberry, which is another one of those, and it's scratchy when I'm touching it. It just feels like sandpaper. But this shade is also one of those that has almost like micro glitters. It's a sheen. These two shades, the weirdest shades in the entire palette, because they're like a hybrid shade. They have like one has like a satin to it and one has like micro glitters in it, and it's just, it is so hard to explain, but they are the two hardest eyeshadows in this entire palette to work with because of like the texture in the eyeshadow. You literally cannot work with those two shades because they're so scratchy and dry, and typically her mattes are not dry and scratchy on the eye like at all. And the same thing can be said for Ember, which this one's another one with like micro glitters in it, and I've never really liked a micro glitter anyway, only because the micro glitters just kind of like blend away to nothing. But I truly feel like the micro glitters in these three shades just are, they're not good. Not good at all. They're scratchy, they're hard to blend out, and while they're like super pigmented, again, really hard to blend out because of the way that they're textured and the way that they go on the eye. I found myself having so many problems with like patchy eyeshadow. I just kind of steered clear of this one. For a while there, I was pairing it with Modern Renaissance to kind of get that color story of like some lighter tones that would go well with this palette, and then, you know, pairing it in with this like darker palette. But I really found overall, for somebody who is like pasty pale, like me, this eyeshadow palette just really didn't work for me. Mud all over my eyelid every single time I used it. Patchy, disgusting mud. I feel like I've burned this enough. We need to put it away. Like, I've burned this way too much. Another one that I still have in my possession is a blush from L'Oreal. It's the Infallible blush, specifically in the shade Rosewood. Now, I picked up this shade because I had heard Jen Phelps kind of raving about it, saying that this shade was actually really beautiful, even though it is, like, this is like a brick red. Should I have listened? I'm kind of beating myself up for purchasing this because every single time that I put it on, I have such patchy problems with my blush, and that's typically not the type of formula that I'm used to in a L'Oreal Infallible product. Like, I have the bronzer and I also have the powder foundation, and I was thinking like, let's try the blush. I had heard that this one was like a beautiful like deep brick red rosy shade, and it really just kind of flushed your cheeks, like absolutely stunning. And I actually have a very similar shade of this in the Sigma Beauty Warm Wishes duo, the highlight and blush duo. Very, very similar shade, but that one just goes on so much better. It blends out like seamlessly. This one patches on my face. I look like I have like splotches of blush all over. And I think it honestly has to do with the shade more than anything, because there's just a way that this shade was formulated. It just doesn't work for somebody who has lighter skin. Every single time that I put it on, it patches all over my face. I literally have the worst blush day every single time I wear it. It missed the mark for me. It didn't work. Maybe I got a dud. I don't know, because I heard other people raving about this shade. I don't know. Stay away from the patchy blush, because that's what it's going to give you. Okay, I have one that is going to surprise a lot of people, because this has been on my like, I'm obsessed. I love this product. I love the way that it made my lips feel. I love that it was very nourishing and glossy, and like, I wore it a lot this year, and I definitely have to say I'm surprised to see it on this list. And there's one specific reason why it is on this list, and there's one reason why the Fat Lip Drip Oil from NYX is in the Worst of Beauty for 2023. I don't think this is a bad product per se. The one huge complaint I have about this product in particular is that it has started separating. Can you see that my product has started separating? It's like milky and cloudy up here when it was actually kind of clear to begin with, and it's more, there's like a line around the product, and it literally has started separating on me. Now, I don't know if this is because I have been pairing it with like different lip products, like a lipstick, and then I put the lip oil on, or I line my lips and then I put some lip oil on the rest of my lips. Honestly, most of the time I was just literally placing it on my lips, like what I do, like let's say just with this new one that I have, it's a hard candy one. Um, I've literally just been placing it on my naked lips without anything on my lips. And I did the same thing with this one, and this one just started like separating and getting cloudy, and it didn't look like that when I bought it, and it literally looks like it expired. And that bothers me because I've not had that even 6 months, and it takes people a long time to go through a lip product, like definitely. And it honestly feels like this product did not last as long as what it would. It's a great product, but it's not gonna last you, and that's why it's on this list, is because something started happening to it, and I don't want my lips going wonky either, but something happened to this product, and I feel like it expired, and it's not even that old. Oh my goodness, so 3 products, and I feel kinda like, okay, I thought this was gonna be, like, my ultimate foundation. I thought this was gonna be easy, mom on the go makeup, you know, making me look flawless and airbrushed with a really nice light coverage. I am wearing it today, and I guess it's good that we're filming the worst of beauty and mentioning this product because it is on my face and it's doing exactly what I wanna talk about and why I think it is the like, why do I think it's the worst of beauty? Like, it's already, like, separated on my nose. Sorry, guys, like, trying to fix it here so that we actually look presentable on camera. I didn't wanna redo my makeup because I was like, "Oh, maybe today it'll play nice." No, this isn't playing nice at all. It's separating on my nose already, and it's having problems. I do have a get ready with me video, and again, it's the one about creators and friends, and I actually wear this product in that video, and I actually asked you guys, like, "Do you wanna see a full face of makeup that I think is like, just bad?" And I did get some comments saying, like, "Yes, we wanna see that." So we may get one. You guys kinda saw that when I put that on in that video, but I am wearing this one today, and the expectation was that it was gonna be a light coverage, blurring my skin, not necessarily covering up, like, all my imperfections, but definitely just giving my skin, like, a nice blurred look, not like, you know, tired mom look, and okay, it does do that. I did do, like, a full day foundation wear test with this. I paired it with the Solera SPF 50 sunscreen, and these 2 paired together is really pretty. It actually provides a little bit nicer of a it's almost a medium coverage at that point. It's not really a light coverage, which I find really nice. The one thing that I did find with this one, after having used it for a little while, the first wear test I think went pretty decently well. It, like, wore down like normal, but I started pairing this, like, I just started wearing this on a normal everyday basis, the way that I would wear a foundation if I'm just, you know, waking up in the morning, getting my kids ready for school, throwing on a little bit of makeup for work, and, you know, heading off to the office. My primer, I would put on my foundation, this foundation, and I would go off to work. I was sitting working one day at the local coffee shop, and I turn and I look in the mirror, and I'm like, dear God, that's patchy. And it was like separating all over my face. It just looked so dry and crusty. I was embarrassed to be sitting there with my face looking the way that it did. It just looked so bad. Today, it's not so bad, but it still has its moments where it clings to dry places or even blemishes that I'm having, like, problem areas on my skin. It does tend to cling to that quite a bit. This foundation, right, like, never failing, never ceasing. If I put this on, it's like, "Oh, you have a blemish there? Let me, like, protrude it for you and make it huge." Or, "You have a dry patch here. Let me protrude it and make it huge." The only way that I have found that this foundation actually works is if you moisturize your face so well, you feel like you have stepped into, like, a sauna, and, like, your face is so moisturized and, like, sticky that it is okay being on your face like that. With it being December right now, my prep routine has changed a little bit. I've actually been prepping my face a lot with the Tatcha Dewy Skin Cream. I have a sample that I got from Sephora. This one I put on my face and my skin just, like, drank it up today because it was so dry, and then I ended up not putting really any primer on, and then I just put this on, and my skin does look a little bit better today, but again, this product tends to just, like, absorb into the problem areas that I'm having. Like, I had a blemish on the end of my nose, and it was like, "Oh, let me just, like let me just, like, adhere right there." I don't recommend that product, honestly. I think if you're looking for a really good skin tint, a skin tint, you're better off going with, like, the Wet n Wild Tinted Hydrator or even the Toti Solera CC Compact. I love this one. It actually this gives me all the qualities that I thought the Fenty Beauty was going to give me, and it actually, you know, lasts a heck of a lot longer, and this has SPF of 50 in it. So, like, if you're looking for an alternative for, like, something that's gonna blur your skin, it's gonna be more of a skin tint, just up and go. Yeah, it's nice that it's in a stick, but it sucks that the product just doesn't work. Okay, let's not stop talking about foundations because I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, that's number 4, 5, 6. On this list, I have 6 foundations because I did a lot of foundation Fridays this summer. We've gotten rid of 1. Let's talk about the next really bad foundation. a really bad foundation. I actually decluttered this one. I ended up returning it to Ulta because it was that bad. I typically do not return things to Ulta. Typically I keep it so that I can, you know, test it a little bit longer. This was I used it once, I used it twice, I used it 3 times, and it still was performing exactly the way it did on the first try, and I knew that something was wrong with this foundation. I read the reviews, and the reviews reflected what problems I was having with the foundation, and I was like, I'm done. So this summer on my foundation journey, I was looking for the perfect skin tint because we were actually having very warm weather in New York at the time. So there were so many skin tints that I tried. I was looking for something that was going to provide a little bit of coverage, that was going to be nice for mom on the go makeup, because I am a mom of 2. If you're new here, I'm a mom of 2. I have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old. So I do have kids that are very active. I need to be able to sit down at my makeup table, put on a little bit of makeup if we're going out to dinner or if we're going to meet friends, and cover up the, you know, the mom bags or like the blemishes that I have because life in general. And so I was on a journey. I was on a journey to look for the perfect foundation. So I tried the Pacifica Serum Skin Tint. This was like a $15 skin tint. I was like, that's a little bit much for a drugstore foundation, but I heard Pacifica is like great because they always use clean ingredients. They're vegan. It's like, oh, this could be possibly a dupe for the Fenty Eaze drops, the actual drop version, not the stick version. And I was like, oh, this could be a dupe as well. So I was like, okay, let's try it. It's $15. If it works well, then I'm going to be happy. I will have a skin tint that works for me like all summer long, and I've heard great things about the Fenty. So I was like, okay, maybe it's a dupe. Sat down, tried it, filmed the video. I actually have that video on my channel. It's called Disaster. Disaster makeup is what it was, because this foundation prepped my skin, put my sunscreen on like I normally would, the sunscreen that plays nice with every other foundation in my collection right now, and the foundation started peeling on my face. I was literally peeling things off of my face. It was like coagulating and like separating and peeling off of my face. Like I was literally able to like elastically pull it off of my face. And I knew right then and there, like, no, we can't do this. I was filming a video, mind you, and I was like in the video, we got to stop and we got to redo my makeup. So I ended up redoing my makeup with the L'Oreal True Match. That's not in this video. But that Pacifica Serum Skin Tint was definitely on the, like, Santa's naughty list. This is the worst product of 2023. Peeling on my skin, goodbye. Like, goodbye. So, I was like, okay, let me just give it a couple more shots. Just try it a couple more times. So instead of using my SPF, I used like my true, I have one product that I love to use to prep my face like 90% of the time. It is the Power Gripping Primer from e.l.f. It's just a great primer. It provides moisture. It grips the makeup. It just really is a nice like do-it-all primer. And I tried it with that. Same problem. Peeled off my face. I was done. I'm like, no guys, we're done. So that one peeled off my face. I returned that one. And I was like, okay, let's try the Too Faced Healthy Glow Tinted Serum. It was the Born This Way Healthy Glow Tinted Serum. I tried that one. I actually tried filming it on camera, and my audio got so messed up, I actually wasn't able to recover the audio. It was just so bad. That one literally separated on my face. Separated on my face. So I decided, okay, let's wash it off. Let's try it with something else. Let's remove the SPF. Let's get rid of the SPF that I had. Tried it with my tried and true primer. Did the same thing. So I really wanted to make the Too Faced Healthy Glow work. Was like, I need to make, like, there's so many people who are raving about it on the internet. I mean, I think I saw it in some best of beauty videos, and I'm like, I got to make this work. I got to see why it's not working for me. And so I tried it without the SPF. I tried it with my tried and true primer, and it was still having the same problem. It was separating, it was peeling off of my face. It was just not working for my skin. I tried it with just like a moisturizer, no SPF, no tried and true primer, still doing the same thing. It did work a little bit better when I did it that way, but I was still having problems with it not wearing very well. It was literally separating all over my face. I had like problems on my chin, on my nose, on my forehead. It just did not look good overall. It was another one of those embarrassing moments where I'm like, my makeup looks like crap. I returned that one. I also tried the Flower Beauty Get Real Serum Foundation. I feel like the first time I wore this, it turned out really good. And I had actually purchased it off of a recommendation from Kelly Gooch because she said that it was like very, very serum-y, very skin-like. I mean, I love serum foundations. I actually have a couple in my collection, some serum foundations. I'm like, I should like this. It should look really good. And again, I had the same problem, not necessarily with the peeling, but I had more of a problem with it not wearing down very well throughout the day. And I was embarrassed to be wearing this makeup. And I knew that wasn't the one for me, so I decided to return that one as well. I was actually recommended in the store after I told the ladies at Ulta that I was like, don't try the Flower Beauty one, don't try the Pacifica one, don't try the Too Faced Healthy Glow because these all just don't work. These all just don't work on somebody with skin like me. I don't know what it is. I don't know what I'm doing. I've tried it so many different ways with different primers, trying to figure out like the best combination. And I was like, please just disregard these. They were like, oh my gosh, I've been wanting to try these and now I'm glad I didn't. So I was in the store returning all of these really bad foundations. And one of the girls was like, you need to try the TULA Skin Tint. And I was like, why not? At this point, why the heck not? They recommended to me because it had an SPF in it. Tula is actually a skincare line, so they're like, oh, that might actually work better for you instead of it being a foundation. It's more skincare related. And I was like, okay, let's give it a try. And I bought the Tula Skin Tint with the Tula Brightening and Smoothing Gel Primer. I used those together. I used it on camera. I did a 2-day wear test. It made my skin look really juicy. It did. It looked really beautiful. But at the end of the day, the biggest problem that I had, the reason why I actually took those both back was because my skin did not set down the entire day. Typically, a good foundation, it'll kind of just dry down like powder smooth. You won't feel it, and it feels lightweight. That to me is a good foundation. When it dries down powder smooth and it doesn't feel weighted on your skin and your skin feels like it's breathing, that's a good product to me. The TULA Skin Tint never dried down. I felt like I had just applied it all day. I felt like I had an oil slick all over my face. So I tried it a second day. I did try it different multiple combination ways with that primer, without that primer, with the SPF, without the SPF. And every single time that I wore this foundation, it just did not dry down. And that's what I didn't like about it. It just did not dry down. Yeah, it made my skin look real nice, but I felt like my skin wasn't breathing. And this is skincare. Like my skin should be breathing. And it just didn't feel like it was breathing. I thought it was just a horrible product overall. I think I covered almost all of them. There's so much of this that I don't have anymore because they're just so bad. Like I had to get rid of them. The last foundation that I wanted to mention was the Essence Keep Me Covered foundation. I believe this is like a $6 foundation. And Essence typically doesn't release foundations. I think this is actually one of their first foundations that they've ever released. They also had the Keep Me Covered concealer that came with it as well. It was kind of like they released them at the same time, like you should buy the foundation and the concealer type of thing. I was like, okay, Keep Me Covered foundation. I tried this foundation. I don't remember. I did do a foundation Friday with this one or a speed review or both. Um, this foundation I mentioned a couple of times on my channel is not being that great. I put it on. It went on okay, but the biggest problem that I had was the wear down. I looked like I had a major cake face, just cake city all over my face every single time I tried using this foundation. And to me, a good foundation is when you can put it on, it feels like skin, looks like skin, doesn't oxidize or dry down really weird, and it also just kind of melts into your skin. Like I said, it feels like skin, but it has that powder dry finish. While it had that powder dry finish, it looked like I had Cake City, like just Cake City all over my face. So that one, it went bye-bye as well. I don't have much left on my list for the worst of beauty. Now, I did a declutter on my video on December 1st, like to start off Vlogmas, and I actually just kind of cleared my desk, which ironically, it's kind of a mess because I went to Vegas and like pulled all my drawers out. How ironic is that? And so the contouring wands from Flower Beauty, I pulled them out and I was like, these are hard to work with. They don't blend out. While they're very pigmented, they're stiff. And then I actually went to like open them and try and like swatch it, and it was dry. So I decluttered those. And I think that my whole description of like what happened can kind of give you an inkling as to why it's one of the worst products of 2023. I honestly believe that when these products were released, the contouring wands from Flower Beauty, they were meant to be dupes for the Charlotte Tilbury wands. I mean, everybody decided that that was like the thing this year, and honestly, Flower Beauty did an amazing job with their highlighting wands. They're a beautiful product. They blend seamlessly on the face. I actually took one to Vegas with me. That's how good it is. And the contouring wands were kind of like the opposite of that. I felt like they were such a flop because I mean, the packaging was awesome. They nailed the packaging, but the formulation in in the packaging, like, just the product itself was not great at all. It was stiff. You put it on your skin and it dried really, really fast, so it was hard to actually, like, manipulate it and actually blend it into your skin. So, blending was not an option with this product. It didn't matter if you stamped it on or if you took a brush and you tried brushing it on, it was streaky, it was patchy, it wouldn't blend. And then the product dried out on me. So that was another negative to the contouring wands from Flower Beauty. It didn't really work for me on any level. Their shade range was not very good. The colors were not that great. It's just overall, I feel like that product was such a fail on Flower Beauty in general. I really wish that she would kind of like reformulate those, make them better. Like we have a mascara. This was decluttered, and this is one of the worst mascaras I have tried in 2023. It is the worst mascara. It's the only mascara that I listed because I honestly, this is one that like stuck in my brain as being a really, really bad mascara. And it is the Pacifica Vegan Collagen Fluffy Lash Thickening and Lengthening Mascara. I had been researching like really good drugstore mascaras and I was like, okay, let's try this one. It's supposed to be thickening, it's supposed to be lengthening. And I pulled it out and I started using it and there was like nothing on my lashes. Nothing. And I'm like, okay, with a typical mascara, when you first open it, it is going to be more like liquidy. It's not super thick. Like mascara tends to thicken, obviously, as it's open because, you know, the oxygen is getting to it and it tends to thicken. And I was like, okay, we'll give it a couple days. We'll just give it a couple days. We'll see if it changes, if it ends up, you know, doing something. Gave it a couple days. Nothing happened. I tried putting that mascara on again and I'm like wiping it through my lashes and I'm like, is there mascara on my lashes? Like, there was nothing on there. So either there was just no product in the tube or the product was just really, really bad. But in any case, I ended up decluttering that one right away. I was like, this one is not worth it. I do not need it. And I ended up decluttering that one and it went in the bin. I was like, there was a lot of product in 2023 that I tried. And I do have to say that there is a lot of product that has been released that, like, a lot of it that comes out is really, 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 really good. And I think because labs are changing, brands are changing, they're sourcing from better labs and they're creating better product. It is hard to find like the worst makeup of, you know, the year or the worst makeup that you've tried. I remember a time when making a list like this was actually like, oh yeah, that one and that one and that one. And definitely like I feel like it has become harder to pick out like the really bad product, but at the same time it's actually become a lot easier to pick out the bad product because we have such a bar for it to reach now, and a lot like every single product on this list missed the bar by something, like quality, longevity, just the way that it wore down. And there are so many other really good foundations out there, so many other good mascaras, blushes, bronzers that they hit that bar and they exceed it. And all of these products on my list, they fell short in some way. Thank you guys so much for watching and staying tuned to the end of this video. Stay tuned for my best of beauty in 2023. I feel like that video is going to be a really long one. Thank you guys so much for watching and staying tuned to the end. I hope you guys have an amazing, amazing day, and please consider subscribing so I can see you in my next video.